This is Chiming In with Elyse and David.
So welcome back. I am okay for anyone who is listening in order, podcast order. The last episode, I was overwhelmed with a lot on my plate. I had a lot of going on. It's the previous episode to this. What is it, episode 9, David?
Episode 9, yep. This is episode 10.
Okay. And I was really having trouble. It wasn't a panic attack. It was just an overwhelm sensation that periodically happens, even to me, who, like I said, people think I'm like super, super duper calm and patient. And I would say maybe, yeah.
Yeah, 90% of the time.
90?
Maybe 95.
Okay. Yeah, so lots of calm and patience, but still, I mean, I'm human, and a lot of extra things were on my plate last week.
Yeah, going for the walk helped, I think.
Yeah, I definitely needed to go out. I needed to, I'm like a dog or something. You needed to take me out for a walk. That's exactly right. And it was really chilly out that day. And I noticed when we went out, not only did I get the fresh air and the movement that I very much needed, two things that are super helpful if you do have a feeling like you're having trouble getting that full breath and deep, that deep breath inside your lungs. It's really important to try to find that. I think fresh air is great. And it was cold. And cold anything, cold water, ice, anything is, you can put cold pack on the back of your neck. Anything you can do to shock yourself, your nervous system, into a place that it isn't. So it's like you're like, I was freaking out. I was, anyway, going through a whole thing.
So should I throw you in a vat of cold water when you are having a problem?
Something like that, yes. So yeah, the week was chock full of extra tasks and activities and meetings that I don't normally have all at once on my calendar, not to mention the time of year and the holidays and the shopping, all of that. And then I had one extremely anxiety-producing thing, which was I had been asked to be one of 6 storytellers on a moth-style story slam evening in our community on stage, where you have about 5, maybe 10 minutes max to share a story with no notes in front of 200 something people.
Right, on a topic of some sort.
Yeah, that's usually themed. This theme was the moment everything changed.
So what did you decide to talk about?
So I decided to talk about the beginning of our relationship, which you and I went into great length on the first episode of our podcast. Mm-hmm. But we didn't talk about this part. And I didn't go down into this like 1-inch picture frame. We like to use that phrase. Anne Lamott is a prolific writer, and her book Bird by Bird I love, a lot of writers love, and she talks about writing through the lens of a 1-inch picture frame. Like you go down in and you go into that tiny spot,
those
details. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I decided to discuss how the first phone call David and I had, which we do talk about on that first episode, but with all the details surrounding it. Yeah, so...
you did a great job.
Thank you.
I'll put a link in the show notes, but if anybody wants to see the actual talk that she gave, it will be on her Facebook feed.
So one of the most anxiety-producing parts about this was that I needed to have a beginning, middle, and an end, and I needed to keep track and be able to stay focused long enough to deliver the story I wanted to deliver. So the one concern, I hesitate to use the word fear, but it was fear. The one concern I had was that I was going to lose my train of thought and basically have a blank brain, because I do that all the time. Do I not?
You do, but I help you remember what you were talking about.
Do you help me?
Yeah, yeah. You're like, what was I talking about? And I tell you, and you're like, oh yeah, that's what I was
I mean,
talking about.
sometimes I just literally go blank and you're like, and I'm like, oh, are we talking?
Right.
Yeah, that happens all that. So, how was I going to be able to do this in front of 200 people? I don't know.
Well, I
And
told you I was in the front row, so if you needed to, you could just say, hey, Dave, where am I? What's going on?
I was really worried. I spent the earlier part of the day with my mentor and friend. Her name's Trinae, and she took me and a few other people that we gathered together weekly through a meditation, short and sweet, but did the trick. I got really grounded and really relaxed, which I really needed. And then we went around and shared what was going on. So I told her about the upcoming thing in the evening. So I had all those hours to try not to spiral. And she gave me the best advice, and I have to share. She told me to make sure that every single thing I did during the day, that day, was with intention and was deliberate. And the second she said that, my whole body, like, calmed.
Relaxed.
Yes. I knew what she meant because I also talk and teach this often to people. But here I was the student, my favorite thing to be, and I was able to receive that message so clearly. So what that meant was, when I go in and, peel the clementine, I'm into peeling the clementine, not just peeling it and doing something else at the same time. What that meant is, when I put my sneaker on to go take a walk, I look at my hands tying my shoe. I deliberately tie my shoe.
So are you saying that by focusing on every action and being very deliberate, you're in a way kind of taking the focus off of your spiraling brain and thinking about the anxiety, and instead now you're focusing on the actual action of tying your shoe or doing something like that? Is that kind of the idea of it?
Yes. So this is now how I teach this. So, there's a lot of conversation around being mindful and being present. And what does that actually look like in action form is exactly what she was recommending. So in order to ground yourself, meaning it really feels like you're connected to the earth, to the bottom, right? Because when you spiral, you go up and out, right? It's like your wires go, and they get very
High.
high and floating, kind of like away from your body. They're away from your body, right? So grounding, think of taking those wires and like making them into roots, like going down through your body all the way down, down, down. So you're connected. You're not flying away. You're not floating away from whatever activity or task you're trying to do. So by me taking the time to think about what I was doing, whatever, because I had so many hours between A and B, which so many people do. I just have it. My good friend just was saying that this related to her so much too, because she knows the time-ish and the day when her daughter's going to find out if she gets into her preferred college or not. So she knows the day is Tuesday. She's going to have, first of all these days, but then even Tuesday, all day till that email probably comes. How is she going to manage? How is she going to ground? Right? So this can apply to so many things, I hope. And the focus is so intentional that you don't have it's really what Pilates is about. I teach that, and I'm not going down that road today. We will talk about that soon. But that mind-body connection, the fact that you take your mind and pull it all the way in to your body, your being, and in this case, what you're doing. If I'm making peanut butter and jelly for my kids to go to school, am I just slapping it on and then moving about? That feels like chaos, right? But the second I take out that spreader and the peanut butter and I unscrew the cap and I put the cap down, I might even notice the cap is turquoise. That's cool. Whatever. And I notice how it spreads. Maybe it spreads differently today. And yesterday when I made it, it was too thick because all the stuff squirted out with the second I cut it, every single time. Does that happen to you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know it
definitely.
happens to you because you're like, I'm like, is there even in bread in your peanut butter and jelly?
I like putting a lot of jelly on
You
there. It
have a
always squirts out
problem.
the sides.
Anyway, so that intention, that feeling of being so into whatever you're doing, if you're brushing your teeth, you're actually brushing each tooth, right? You put the toothpaste on. We don't really go around life thinking that way unless you intentionally make yourself do that. So I don't walk around every day doing that all day, right?
Right.
So I like to do that some of my day. I like to do that a lot of my day personally, but I can't do it like every day, all day. It just doesn't happen. So in other words, no matter how, proficient you are practicing this, it's still, as you saw in last episode, it, gets the best of us. So I think, yes, that the intention brings you to the present moment. And when you do that, the future moment doesn't exist because it doesn't anyway, actually. All we have is now.
So
right?
interesting. Yeah.
So we don't, so yeah. So, and every now minute is in its past, every single second, right? So it's gone. So you really only have the second that you're in. And when you pull into that moment, everything is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is okay. And we used to have to try to work really hard on that when we had our young kids and everybody's everywhere. And even now, like teenagers and young adults, like every minute someone else is entering the room and has a different situation or conversation or lack thereof. Hi, I'm your mom. Hey, nice to see you. You look good. You've grown like 7 inches. Yeah. So I really think that pulling that attention down, I can't stress that enough. It was a game changer for me. So we're really intentional about what we bring into our home. Whenever we share something here on Chiming In about a company or a product, rest assured we have used it, are using it, and believe in it. So today, we wanted to highlight our friend Stephanie because she makes the most amazing candles, and we're genuinely obsessed with them. They're a coconut wax and essential oil blend, and you can tell immediately that they're different. Her company's called Pretty Palm Candle Company, and she makes them in small batches in her garage in her house in Virginia Beach. She literally hand pours them, and she ships everywhere. And I'm extremely scent sensitive, and I honestly cannot remember the last time I had this hard of a time choosing a scent, because usually I hate everything except maybe one, maybe. Her seasonal scents are amazing, and then she also has ones that are always available.
I love the one that smells like coffee.
Yes, that's one of my favorites too. It's called Morning Buzz, and the description says coffee burnt honey. I also love the one that's current right now called Hearth, and it's like the spruce and holiday spice. It's amazing. And there's a new one, Après Ski. You loved that one, David. That was so good. It's white birch and mint schnapps. What? These are amazing. One called Self Care. There's one called Game Day. And she can also do custom scents or names for a company or organization. So that's pretty cool.
And didn't you also say that they were very, very safe? Like you could rub them on your skin?
Absolutely, yes. First of all, they're not made with any paraffin or phthalates, synthetic fragrances, or toxic anything. So that really matters to us. And yeah, so you can actually use this as like a moisturizer. The wax is like a moisturizer. Yeah, because it's coconut. It's amazing. And then you can shop online at prettypalmcandleco.com. That's candle co, like company but short. And Stephanie was kind enough to offer all of you a discount. If you go to her website, you can use the code ChimingIn15 for 15% off.
A couple of days ago, I don't know, I was in the kitchen, I was doing maybe making coffee or whatever, and I just had this feeling, when is the last time I looked at my hands? No, I'm serious. You look at your hands every day when you're using them, but how many of us actually take the time to actually look at our hands, like the fingers and all the parts? And I just sat there and I looked at it. I'm like, I don't know the last time I did that. Like, when did I do that? And I just looked at my hands and I thought, thank you, hands, for all the things that you allow me to do. Like, and I think this kind of ties into what you're saying, because it's a matter of slowing things down and just being in the moment and realizing that we have all these incredible gifts and our hands are one of them. And why not look at them every once in a while?
So I don't know about you, but I'm literally looking at my hands while you're saying all this. So a couple things. One is you just touched on something that I 100% am going to be talking about on a future episode, and that is gratitude for our body and ways of affirmation. But we're not going to talk about that now. I'm just saying. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you exactly on how many of us do that, because I do look at my hands because I'm constantly like filing my nails and stuff. And I have like the world's shortest fingers ever. Like ever. Like I need a finger extension.
Your fingers are fine. I
Okay,
don't know
well,
what you're
they're
talking about.
so short. Now everyone's going to look at we might need to delete that. Don't look at my hands. I'm really uncomfortable about it. Anyway.
You walk around with your hands in your pocket now.
Yeah, no, I do have a lot of pocket holding. So you 100% did exactly what, David, we used to talk about this when I was trying to have you kind of ground and tune into yourself a little more back in the old days when we first started talking. And I don't know if you remember, but I would say to look in the mirror and look right in your eyes.
Yes.
And this is also sort of going to go down another road, so I'm just going to keep it simple for today. And I would say, like, look in the mirror and look right in your eyes. Like, who's in there? And you had a really hard time doing that. That's the other episode. We'll talk about it later. Bookmark that.
It's hard to do that. It's hard to look.
And, okay, bookmark that. So that deliberate motion, we kind of, like you said, you sort of brush by. We go look in the mirror. We're just like, fix our hair. We don't really look in the mirror. And it's the same idea. I think we're going down a slightly different tangent, and that's okay. But suffice it to say, take the minute, take the intention, take your brain into what you're doing, and everything melts. I always feel like it just settles, right?
Right. I'd like to talk about something next, which is what actually happened when you got up on stage. Like, can you talk a little bit about
that's exactly what I was going to say.
walking up to the stage and how it was being up there? What do you remember about it and all of that?
So I was really nervous, and it wasn't physical nerves, which oftentimes it is, like just kind of shaky and oogy and all the things, can't breathe. I know how to calm my body enough that it was good. So I did my breathing, and then I was, and I had a lot of distraction before we went up, because people were coming in to the room, to the little theater, and saying hi and talking about all sorts of things. And I was very concerned that I was going to completely blank and not even be able to pull anything past my first couple of lines that I knew where I was starting.
I remember you had like an outline of like...
Yeah, I have bullet points. And so I knew I just needed to know the bullet point order, and I was concerned that I wasn't going to be in that intentional brain wave, exactly what we were just talking about, while I got up on stage, right? So it's one thing to talk about it, and it's another thing to perform and deliver it. And yes, of course, my past being a performer, but that was most of the time using no words, dancing. So here I'm doing really the complete opposite because I can't move around the stage. I had, we were basically center stage with the microphone. And yeah, so my fear happened.
You forgot where you were.
Yeah, totally. So I started talking, everything was fine, and then I almost kind of had a premonition this was going to happen. It was like the energy of everyone in the room came kind of colliding into my energy. And I'm very, very sensitive, in case we haven't figured that out yet. And so I knew I needed to protect myself from that so I could stay focused. So I was mentally prepared for that. And I also, one little thing I said slightly different than I meant to say, and it was fine. What I said was fine because I've now heard it, but it literally jumped my brain off track. It was like somebody, it was like, when I always use a bowling alley image. I use a bowling lane image all the time for so many things. So you'll probably start hearing that from time to time. But it was like the ball was going straight ahead, and you know how like you're like, oh, it's gonna hit the center one, and all of a sudden it's like, wah, and it goes over to
Right in the gutter.
Yeah, and you're like, what the hell? Did somebody blow on it? What just happened? So that is exactly what happened to me, and I sensed it coming, and instead of fighting for it right then, I decided to just say, oh, here we go. Yep, I'm lost it, and I was blank. And I, honest to God, didn't know if I was going to be able to pull it back on. That's what happens to me normally. And I think I prayed. I don't know what I did. I was like,
Well, you
please,
said
please,
it,
please.
but then you immediately, like within 1 second, started talking again, and it was all fine. More than fine, because that's the beauty of a live performance.
Yeah, true. Thank you so much. Honestly, you were my biggest support, so always are.